Hola, welcome to my channel Clear Vision, where today I'm going to be diving into it. I always do that, where today, today I'm going to be, I did it again, going to be diving into a topic that impacts many people, yet really does remain shrouded in misunderstanding. Dissociation, okay? And often this is mispronounced as disassociation. This is dissociation. And I'm going to explore 5 common causes of dissociation and discuss how they affect our mental health and relationships. So, have you ever felt disconnected from reality or from yourself? Let's unravel the complexities of dissociation and its origins and its effects, because that could be what you're experiencing. If you're new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more insightful content. Check out the videos I've got and the playlists. Moving on from that, what is dissociation? Well, it is a psychological phenomena where an individual feels disconnected from their thoughts, emotions, memories, or sense of identity. Have you ever seen a child, or normally, a toddler or maybe even younger, kind of in their mother's arms and, they're throwing a tantrum and a fit and then they kind of go like that? That's kind of dissociation. They've switched off. Okay. That's it, like in an extreme form. In adults, it can be the same, but it can also manifest in various ways. So, such as feeling detached from oneself, experiencing memory gaps, or perceiving the world as unreal or dreamlike. And dissociation, like I said, is often used as a protective mechanism. It's considered an ego defense. But when it becomes pervasive, it can significantly disrupt daily functioning and your overall well-being. So, what is the cause? Well, one of the most prevalent causes of dissociation is trauma, especially when this trauma is experienced during childhood. Trauma can include physical abuse, sexual abuse, severe neglect, which is now considered above all the others as the most damaging, especially for the brain, or even when one faces or witnesses violence. Or sometimes trauma comes when faced with overwhelming or life-threatening situations. And so the mind may employ dissociation as a defense mechanism, like I said earlier, to protect itself from unbearable emotional pain. And this fragmentation of the self allows the individual to detach from the traumatic experience, creating a sense of safety and distance from the event. However, this is a coping strategy. And whilst it's protective in the short term, it can really lead to long-term challenges in integrating these fragmented experiences into a cohesive sense of self. And this is where all of that inner child stuff work that I go on about and this kind of fragmented psyche comes from. The inner child, the damaged, traumatized inner child. It's kind of, they're walking along beside you. They're part of your psyche, but they're actually fragmented off from your psyche. So, if you experienced a trauma as a child, it's kind of like there's a halt, like there's an arrested development on that version of yourself. And a new version of yourself takes over, which has now got coping mechanisms with it. But that's kind of how to explain it because it's quite an abstract concept. Cause number 2 is chronic stress and anxiety, which can also lead to this dissociative experiences. And this is when the brain is constantly in a state of high alert. Again, think traumatized child or a child in or an adult even in a stressful environment, a dysfunctional environment, an environment where you have to be on your toes. It's abusive, it's traumatic. And when the brain is in this constant high state of alert, dissociation can really serve as an escape from this relentless pressure, always in fight and flight, always looking for the danger, all the rest of it, and then switch off. And this is often seen in individuals who face prolonged stresses such as demanding high pressure work environments, academic pressures as well. I've worked with clients who were absolutely fine kind of through childhood, pretty much, and then got into university and just found it way too overwhelming, and then started to notice that they were dissociating and switching off and had memory gaps, couldn't remember stuff, can't process things, losing time, stuff like that, gaps in the memory, like I said. And it's this all of a sudden, okay, there is schools of thought which would link it back into other stuff going on in early childhood, lack of learning certain coping strategies and self-regulation. But whatever, it can happen at any time in our life. Maybe we experience a tragedy and all of a sudden it's just too much. Perhaps it's ongoing family conflicts. And again, the brain, in an attempt to find some relief from this constant state, may well create a dissociative state where the individual feels numb or detached from the stressor. Like I said, we go back to university, a student under intense academic pressure and the constant anxiety to perform and meet deadlines and keep up may well lead them to experience these episodes of dissociation where they feel completely disconnected from their feelings and definitely unable to recall certain recent events as their mind seeks this kind of respite from the overwhelming stress. Cause number 3 could be substance use. Certain substances, including drugs and alcohol, can induce dissociative states. These substances, they alter the brain chemistry and perception, which leads to feelings of detachment from reality. So, alcohol, marijuana, hallucinogens, dissociative drugs like ketamine, these can also trigger these states, providing a temporary escape from reality. But like always, this escape comes at a cost, as substance-induced dissociation can exacerbate underlying mental health issues and lead to more frequent and severe dissociative episodes, leading to addiction. You need the substance to be able to cope with your life. It's like self-medicated, and I have encountered individuals who turn to substances to cope with their dissociative symptoms, only to find themselves in this vicious cycle where the substance abuse worsens their actual dissociation and increases other things like feelings of guilt and isolation from family and having to hide it and lie and all the rest of it. And it just creates this complete complex web challenging situation in order for them to work through, and the deeper they end up in it, the more they do it, and until there's this kind of crash out. Cause number 4, psychological disorders. Dissociation is also a common symptom of various psychological disorders: dissociative identity disorder, DID, borderline personality disorder, BPD, and post-traumatic stress disorder, because it's to do with trauma, PTSD, and also CPTSD. They all often include dissociative symptoms. In DID, individuals may well have multiple distinct identities or personality states, each with their own memories and characteristics. I think it's there's a great book written by a woman who had DID, or has DID, called I Am We. And again, she was sexually abused. It was traumatic from a young age, before the age of 3 and stuff like that. So there were all of these personalities she created in order to detach herself from the situation, and different personalities protected in different ways. Some were outwardly aggressive, some weren't. Some were regressive. So the brain is fascinatingly complex. If you're dealing with it, it's not so fascinating. It's pretty difficult to live with. BPD can, that was one I mentioned, can involve periods of intense dissociation, especially during times of stress. And PTSD and CPTSD often include dissociative episodes triggered by reminders of the traumatic event. So, for instance, journalists or soldiers even who are in war zones, find themselves at home walking the dogs and get into an open space and freeze and switch off for various reasons, obviously because of what the trauma they've experienced or witnessed when doing their job. So understanding these disorders is crucial for contextualizing dissociation. For example, a person with PTSD may well dissociate during flashbacks, like I said, or there's an environmental stimulus trigger, so they could feel like they're reliving the traumatic event, while simultaneously being disconnected from the present moment. Cause number 5, severe emotional conflict. And these conflicts, things like they're kind of related to identity or moral dilemmas. These can lead to dissociation as well. So when individuals face intense internal conflicts, dissociation can serve as a way, again, to avoid confronting these issues directly. And it's often seen in conflicts related to a sexual orientation, gender identity, or major life decisions where the emotional turmoil becomes too overwhelming to process consciously. So an individual struggling with their sexual orientation, for example, who are in an unsupportive environment, or an environment where their sexual orientation is not going to be accepted, they may well experience dissociation as a means to escape the internal conflict and societal pressures, which leads to a sense of detachment from their true self. I mean, I've known this one to go as far as people sort of like, half-heartedly attempting to commit suicide or attempting to destroy aspects of themselves. And it's like, when you really get into depth therapy with them, they're actually trying to destroy the false self, the inauthentic self that they have to be in order to protect themselves from the environment that they're in. When inside, especially like with sexual orientation, when inside there's this, this preference, this sexuality, this, which is part of who you are, is screaming to get out. And it causes immense dysfunction, discomfort, cognitive dissonance, unhappiness, and metaphorically, abstractly, poetically, even if you like, they attempt to destroy this kind of false self that they've had to implement. It can be very, very soul destroying for people. The impact of dissociation on daily life can be quite significant, and it can impact functioning relationships, or the functioning of relationships, and your overall mental health. So individuals may find themselves feeling disconnected during conversations, having difficulty recalling important information, or struggling to stay present in their daily activities. And this can really lead to problems at work, school, interacting with your own children, interacting with your partner, personal relationships, family, as the sense of unreality and detachment can both be frightening and quite isolating. In practice, I often see clients who describe feelings as though they are going through the motions of life without truly engaging or connecting with their experiences. And this chronic sense of disconnection can lead to further emotional distress and basically a diminished sense of self and quality of life. So what do we do about it? First of all, you need to recognize the signs of dissociation. What therapy could do is help you reintegrate fragmented aspects of your psyche or identity. Building a strong support system is also crucial. Surrounding yourself with supportive friends and family really can provide the necessary encouragement and validation needed to navigate the challenges of dissociation. And additionally, you could create a safety plan for those ready to leave harmful environments. So if you need to leave that environment, you need the network, you need that other environment to go to, otherwise you're going to find yourself in isolation. So to wrap this up, understanding and addressing dissociation is a very courageous and essential step towards your mental health. And you know what? Sometimes life throws us these challenges and curveballs and trauma and terrible events that come our way, and it can send us off, like I say, on different paths. And we go down these different paths, and then we find, things like dissociation happening. Once you notice it happening, please take the next step to get help, get a support network in order to live a better quality of life for yourself and have a better relationship with yourself and those around you. As always, don't forget to like and share the video, leave your comments below, even leave some of your personal experiences if you wish to, and any questions. Please hit the subscribe button for more insightful content. Have a look through the channel and the playlists. And as always, until next time, please take very good care of yourselves. Adios.